Folks, clear path on the sidewalk.
What Bill Taylor's transcript did for us is it really added some clarity and some detail to the opening statement that he put out before his appearance before impeachment investigators. Bill Taylor is somebody who his name has come up quite a bit because he was sitting in Kiev having conversations both with the Ukrainians and with U.S. officials, and really you get the sense of a diplomat who's trying to figure out what's going on here. He's ostensibly one of the lead American officials involved in Ukraine policy, and yet he discusses how there's this whole secondary channel that's happening, and he becomes aware of this process, and he realizes that what he is setting out to do is not the only policy for the U.S. toward Ukraine that's happening. There's another channel that's been authorized by the president, including the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, and you get the sense of real discomfort from Bill Taylor about the fact that that was happening. We're really heading to a new phase in the impeachment process. Instead of hearing from officials behind closed doors, we're now going to see them in public, sitting on television in front of the American people, answering questions from Democrats and Republicans. And what Democrats are hoping this does is that it clarifies the seriousness of the charges against President Trump in this situation, that hearing from these people directly, hearing directly out of their mouths what happened with the U.S. relationship with Ukraine will leave the American people with the impression that the president did something wrong. What Republicans are hoping comes from this is that people listen to these diplomats and say, oh, maybe it wasn't a great situation, but there's nothing that seems like an impeachable offense, that this devolves into a series of secondhand accounts of incomplete information that, again, may leave people thinking that this might not have been a great thing for the president to have done, but it does not rise to the level of impeachment.
So good afternoon, and thank you all for being here as we celebrate.
Hale, who is the third most senior official at the State Department and the top career official at the State Department.
The president goes before the day before election or anywhere to help people with all this help.
Where we are right now is you have a series of people who have come forward saying that it is their understanding, it is their belief that there was a quid pro quo, that the Ukrainians needed to announce publicly that they were going to have investigations into Joe Biden, into the DNC, and then if that happened, that there would be a release of military aid. What Republicans are going to argue is that this may be how these people felt the policy was headed, but that there's no concrete evidence that that is really President Trump's intention. And Republicans also point to the fact that ultimately the military aid to Ukraine was released.
Of federal claims. Today we'll turn to more of President Trump's impressive nominees for the federal judiciary.
The White House has been kind of changing its position over the last several weeks as we've heard from more witnesses. We do know now that the White House is bringing on at least 2 new officials to try to work on the impeachment situation, try to bolster the White House's defense, because at this point it's really been the president himself who's been out there sort of leading the charge, and now he's getting a little bit of backup from two allies of him. I do think that the White House certainly is wary of the fact that there are going to be these public hearings, but they are going to rely heavily on longtime Trump allies on the House committees who are going to be doing the questioning to try to advance the president's agenda.
Great again. Thank you so much.
Republican senators are really watching closely the action in the House. They are looking to see if there is any sign that House Republicans start turning on the president, or if they are going to end up with a situation where the president is impeached completely on Democratic votes. That would make it very difficult to envision that you would have enough Republican senators willing to convict the president to move for him to be removed from office. It seems most likely that we will end up in a place where Democrats in the House impeach the president, this goes to the Senate, and enough Republicans stand with Trump to allow him to remain in office.